I am as excited about Death Knights as anybody, but there's one big issue I foresee that could end up holding the class back long term. Hey everybody, Peaceful here. So yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. We have just wrapped up reveal season for the new Hearthstone expansion, March of the Lich King. And as excited as I am to play with these super cool new powerful cards, especially in the new Death Knight class, I have some major concerns with the new class that I could see being a huge issue moving forward. First thing I want to talk about is wild viability. So at this point, Death Knight is about 10 years behind on cards. We've already seen this issue arise in Demon Hunter. When Demon Hunter initially came out, the cards were just so overpowered that it actually found a decent spot in Wild for a little while. Then, obviously, Blizzard had to keep nerfing the cards, and as the cards got nerfed, it got harder and harder to play Demon Hunter in Wild, to the point now where there's really only one viable Demon Hunter deck in Wild. Death Knight has an even steeper deficit in cards. Hearthstone released in 2014, and most other classes have 8 years of cards to work with now, whereas Death Knight has 68. I would love to see a special wild only set for Death Knight and Demon Hunter, with the main purpose to inject some power into these classes and give them more archetypes and viability to work with. However, the main issue I foresee with Death Knight is not something that is exclusive to Wild. And ironically, the biggest problem I foresee for Death Knight is actually also the thing I'm most excited to try out, rune system. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with the Death Knight expansion news, the rune system basically works like this. There are 3 runes in Death Knight: Frost, Blood, and Unholy. Most cards in Death Knight have a rune restriction. If a card has 3 Blood runes, for example, you can only play that card in a deck with other Blood cards, or with Death Knight cards lacking rune restrictions. Same thing if you had a card that has 2 Unholy runes. If you have 2 Unholy runes, you cannot play any cards that have more than 1 of the other runes. While this is going to introduce a ton of interesting deck building decisions, it does present a problem that is completely unique to Death Knight. So the way Hearthstone works is every set, each class gets 10 new cards. As we can see with March of the Lich King, this seems to be a trend that's going to continue moving forward. As of the 68 cards introduced for Death Knight, only 10 of them come from the actual expansion. Moving forward, this could present a huge issue with Death Knight design. These 10 cards will need to offer new options for each rune archetype. The rune system was presented as something that will offer new options in deck building, but it also means that not every new card will be playable for every deck. At any time, there's only a few viable decks for each class. So theoretically, if Blizzard handles it right, they should be able to balance this. But it makes it much more critical that not just the cards themselves, but the rune restrictions they are assigned are handled correctly to give multiple archetypes the cards they need each set. Blizzard has also shown a pattern of printing bundles of synergy cards in each class, the relic cards in Demon Hunter being a perfect example. Can they do this in Death Knight? Are all the cards going to be 1 rune, or will they split them up? It is just a lot to balance. It'll be interesting to see how Blizzard handles it moving forward. The other issue with this is it further hurts the class in Wild. Even fewer cards from each set will be usable for, say, a Wild double Blood Unholy deck, or a triple Frost deck, or even a Blood Unholy Frost deck. It could take sometimes multiple sets for the deck you play in Wild to get any cards that support it. In summary, I am excited to see what Death Knight has to offer, but long term I worry about how Blizzard will handle balancing the power level of Death Knight in both Standard and Wild. What are your thoughts? Am I overthinking this? Will this even be an issue? Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for stopping by The Peaceful Sea.